Hi everyone, my name is Steven Silvers and I'm a junior here at Thayer.
And my name is Theo Dowd, and I'm also a junior here at Thayer. Now, I'm sure most of you know what sustainability means. When we think of sustainability, a few key things come to mind, such as recycling or not using plastic straws in order to conserve the environment. But at its core, what does sustainability really mean? In reality, this is a much more multifaceted issue than just saving the environment. For something to be truly sustainable, it needs to be sustainable both environmentally and socioeconomically. To understand this a little more, let's first take a dive in to a real-world issue regarding sustainability.
Show of hands, who here has ever owned a pet fish or been to an aquarium? Well, great. It seems like most of you already have some experience with domesticated fish. Among the thousands of species of fish, one of the most common types kept as pets are tetras. These fish, known for their small size and striking colors, come a long way to live in many fish tanks.
One specific example of these fish is the cardinal tetra. Indigenous to the Rio Negro, a tributary of the Amazon River, these tiny fish are very popular among aquarium fish hobbyists. Over 40 million of them are shipped out of Brazil every year, comprising 80% of Brazil's annual fish exports.
However, if we think sustainably, an important question comes up. What is the most sustainable way to obtain these fish? Well, there are two main methods used today. First, we have the traditional method, which is catching these cardinal tetra out in the wild. And second, we have the growing industry of farming fish, in which they're instead captively bred to sell in the pet trade.
So what do you think? Are captive bred or wild caught more sustainable? Raise your hand if you think captive bred are more sustainable. Now, raise your hand if you think wild caught are more sustainable.
See, a lot of you seem unsure, and it might be difficult at first to figure out which one of these options would be more sustainable. However, by the end of this presentation, we will have convinced you on why wild caught are actually the more sustainable choice and a prime example of the connection between environmental and socioeconomic sustainability. So, to start out, let's figure out if wild-caught fisheries are environmentally sustainable. What we mean by an environmentally sustainable practice is one that has a positive impact on the environment so that it can be maintained into the future. The story of wild-caught cardinal tetra begins in the Rio Negro. Despite being just a tributary, this is still one of the largest rivers in the world. Scattered along the shoreline are many small villages, sometimes containing fewer than 100 people and being miles away from the closest other civilization.
Now, up here in Massachusetts' temperate climate, we have the 4 seasons you all know. But down in the tropical rainforest near the equator, there are only 2, the rainy season and the dry season. In the rainy season, the river levels can rise by as much as 30 feet compared to dry season levels, and the river can go from 6 miles at its widest to nearly 30 over just the course of a few months. This drastic change in river size leads to much more habitat for these cardinal tetra to grow in, and as a result, their population increases exponentially.
Unfortunately, when these water levels go back down, this habitat disappears, and millions of fish die simply because there is not enough space for all of them to live. However, because of this yearly cycle, fishermen in the Rio Negro can continue to catch cardinal tetra year after year without any threat to the long-term stability of their population.
So now we know that wild catching these fish is environmentally sustainable, but if farming them seems more profitable, it produces more, and it doesn't seem to have any immediate negative impacts, why don't we just go with that? However, there's just one more factor we haven't considered yet, the people. Now, let's take a look into the socioeconomic sustainability, or lack thereof, of the farmed fish industry. We'll define a socioeconomic practice as one that's economically beneficial and that can be maintained into the future.
For many living in the Rio Negro, work opportunities are very limited, often coming down just to 3 options: fishing, logging, and cattle ranching. Now, although logging and cattle ranching may seem environmentally destructive jobs that would be less favorable, the growth of the farmed fish industry pushes people out of the fishing business and into these less favorable jobs. So think about it this way. If you were living in the Amazon and needed to provide for your family, which would be a higher priority for you? Would it be saving the Amazon rainforest, or would it be making enough money for food and shelter? Probably the latter option. This is the growing reality as the farmed fish industry grows larger and larger. And even worse, all of the profits from the farmed fish industry go back to companies here in the US or in Europe, as opposed to being returned back to the people of the Amazon.
In this way, the farmed fish industry is not socioeconomically sustainable, and in turn, not environmentally sustainable, creating a sort of feedback loop where you can't have one without the other. Currently, about 10,000 acres of forest are being cut down every day in the Amazon, more area than the entire town of Braintree. Imagine that, an entire town filled with millions of plants and animals completely destroyed every single day. If more people in the Amazon are forced to switch to jobs such as logging and cattle ranching, this number of 10,000 will continue to grow.
But now let's look back at wild-caught fisheries. On the other hand, these are sustainable for the people, as fishermen have secure jobs that do not conflict with the interests of other people. And in addition, the fishing is actually only a portion of the impact that they have. The culture is the other part. The people are proud of their sustainable jobs, so they host an annual fish festival in celebration of the fisheries. Here, people dress up as their favorite ornamental fish, either the discus or the cardinal tetra, and compete to see which one is the best. Spoiler alert, the cardinal tetra wins a lot. These festivals attract people from all around the Amazon, bringing in business for the people of the Rio Negro. So, we see the opposite effect happen when we promote wild fisheries. Instead, less people will be involved in environmentally destructive jobs such as logging and cattle ranching, and instead choose to become fishermen who are stewards of the environment, both protecting the natural habitat of the cardinal tetra and promoting a culture around sustainability.
For those of you who are interested by this is where we'd like to introduce Project Piaba. Project Piaba is an organization founded by my dad after he went to the Amazon for the first time and discovered what we just did. Every year, Project Piaba leads a trip down to the Amazon in which you can visit these fishing communities and learn more about them. I had the opportunity to go on this trip when I was 7, and next year, Steve and I will be going back down, and any of you are welcome to join us. At the end of this presentation, there will be a QR code to a form where you can express your interest. But many of you might not be interested in going to the Amazon, don't own aquarium fish, and probably never will. So what's the point?
Well, let's think about sustainability one more time. Now, I'm sure as many of you here are at this conference for sustainability, you may find yourselves as leaders in conservation in the future. And as you go on to tackle large issues, we urge you to remember this one point. Sustainability is not just about the environment, but instead a sort of balance between the environment and the people. When one of these two factors is neglected, then the other will also fail in the long term. However, when you promote both of these factors, then the people benefit the environment, and the environment will benefit the people. Only then can you see a real impact. Thank you for listening, and again, please scan this QR code if you're interested in joining us to the Amazon.